What's with all of these main eventers in the WWE either pushing 40 or actually 40 or well into their 40s? There is definitely an aging problem in the WWE's main event scene. You currently have John Cena at 48 years old on his retirement tour. They're having this tournament to see who his last opponent will be, and the favorites to win the tournament are opponents like LA Knight, who just turned 43, and Gunther, who is at least 38 but still getting up there himself. The question is, will they give that spot to someone young to maybe get a big win over John Cena in his last match to someone like Carmelo Hayes? I'd be shocked if Triple H booked that. But looking at that main event scene, you got Brock Lesnar, who is 48. CM Punk is one of their main champions. He is 47. Cody Rhodes, the other champion, is 40 years old. Roman Reigns just returned. He's also 40 years old. Jey Uso, 40. Drew McIntyre, 40. Seth Rollins is 39, but will probably be 40 when he returns from his injury. And these are the kind of problems that happens when your main event scene is aging. CM Punk has gone through injury problems in the past few years, although his was probably returning to the ring after so long. But Seth Rollins might be getting to that age where he is becoming injury prone as well. Roman Reigns appears only a few months out of the year now, and that's the same for Brock Lesnar. The question is, what happened to stars being made in pro wrestling in the bracket between their mid-20s and their mid-30s? The Rock was at his peak at that time. Steve Austin at that time. Hulk Hogan might not have looked it, but even he became a top superstar at 30 when he shot into superstardom. What has gone wrong? And AEW is actually no different. Their new AEW World Champion is Samoa Joe at 46 years old. Jon Moxley, who has been their biggest push star over the past couple of years, is about to turn 40. Adam Copeland, who hardly ever loses in AEW, is 52. There is an aging problem in pro wrestling. And the problem is they clearly don't know how to make stars anymore in pro wrestling. They are relying on names that have been around forever, and that's great and all. Some of these people can still go. Clearly, there's a reason they became stars, but what happened to making new stars? This is what happens when there is no longer compelling storylines and characters in wrestling getting the proper pushes. It is clearly a problem now, and I don't know what will fix it. Although a start is less meaningless titles and more stories in the first place, but the booking issues need to get somewhere and start pushing people that are younger. Yeah, the Vision is now being pushed in the main event in WWE, but even Bronson Reed is 37. Braun Breaker might be the future of wrestling. Maybe he will be the one to really break out. Or will we have to rely on Logan Paul to be that person? What's up, everybody? It is Pro Wrestling Mondays on the channel, and we are making our way to Survivor Series. They've brought the stars out for their War Games match now with Lesnar and Roman's big returns last Monday night. And I do always enjoy a big, exciting return. I still don't think the build to these War Games has been exciting, but I can't deny that there's not star power in that War Games match. Cena had his last time at Madison Square Garden with Dominic Mysterio interrupting and wanting a rematch, a beatdown by Judgment Day with Sheamus and Rey Mysterio making the save, and honestly, I was very unimpressed with John Cena's last match at Madison Square Garden being a 6-man tag team match. How riveting, but that's what happens when you don't have a planned out story for John Cena's retirement. It's a sad state of affairs when they couldn't even have a story for John Cena's final few months in the company. The highlight of Raw to me was probably Maxine Dupree getting the upset victory over Becky Lynch. As my pal Tiziani would say, shout out to Tiziani if he happens to watch this. I always do love an underdog, maybe sometimes a little too much, but it was good to see Maxine get that underdog victory for Becky's title, thanks to AJ Lee interrupting. AJ Lee and Becky Lynch being the two big stars added to the women's War Games match. I guess they are the Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns of that match. The problem with Roman and Brock joining the match is that Roman and Brock has been done to death, I must say. We'll get back to Survivor Series here in a second to end Pro Wrestling Mondays, but I do want to touch upon AEW Full Gear real quick while I have the time. Honestly, to me, the build to Full Gear was ass. Just straight up stank ass. I don't think Tony Khan put much effort into that build whatsoever. I don't know how anyone cared about that card. Here, let's promote a bunch of new meaningless titles. There's going to be this tournament for women's tag team titles. There's going to be the new national championship. What will these titles mean in a few months? Probably, like most of the other titles in AEW, they'll mean jack shit. It's Tony Khan's way of trying to get people over without realizing that it's the least effort possible is to just make a bunch of new titles and hope, well, here's their championship, so they mean something. No, you actually do have to properly book them. I know that seems to be impossible for Tony Khan, but that is the way it's supposed to be. Now, I did not watch all of Full Gear. I skimmed some matches and I only watched 2 full matches, which I'll get into here. But I want to touch upon the negatives first. Well, some of the negatives. Pac beating Darby Allin to me was ass backwards booking. So Darby had this big feud with the leader of the Death Riders, and I get that his storyline is now that he might not be that leader for long. Maybe that will be the tie-in here to this match, I would hope. But I still have a problem with Darby losing this match. And yeah, Pac cheated to win after saying he would fight clean like a heel would do. But this is, to me, why people don't truly get over in AEW as a star. Like, they don't make any stars down in AEW. And it also, this is why so many storylines in AEW basically go nowhere. They go in circles because of ass backwards booking like this. Darby Allin has a long feud with Jon Moxley where he finally gets his big victory. He's finally getting momentum, and one of the sidekicks, Pac, is the one that beats him at the next pay-per-view. And we're all just left scratching our head. Why did they build up that storyline for Darby just to lose the next month to Pac? It's not, this kind of booking is not going to get Darby over as a real star. He might be a star for the 2,000 people that go to AEW events, but even that might be questionable going forward. Then the tag team women's match, like I said, it's too many meaningless titles in AEW. Same for the national championship. I guess they can say Ricochet has a championship now. We brought Ricochet from the WWE and made him a real star because, look, he has a championship. It's not how it works. They need more stories and less titles. That would be what actually gets wrestlers in AEW over. But here we are. Some of the positives, though, they put Kyle O'Reilly over strong with the Moxley matches lately. He's been going over strong over Jon Moxley. And the match, I didn't watch the full match. There was too many gore, hardcore type matches with a lot of blood on the event. And I can only watch all of those if I actually care about the matches going into the matches. And I didn't. But this is something they did right, or they've been doing right with Kyle O'Reilly. He's getting a pretty mega push, being the guy that's really kind of owning Jon Moxley. But the question is, what's next for Kyle O'Reilly? This is something I could get behind, but what's next? A loss to Pac? Is he just going to go down the same road that Darby Allin just went down? Here's your push, but then you're going to lose to the second fiddle in the group. I don't know. we'll see how they go from there. But so far, I like the push Kyle O'Reilly's getting. Mark Briscoe and Kyle Fletcher was the best match on the event to me. Well, I mean, I'm speaking as someone that only watched 2 full matches, but nonetheless, it was another gory, hardcore match. But that's the style that Mark Briscoe thrives in. And this was a big win for Mark Briscoe, winning the TNT Championship from Kyle Fletcher. And I will have to give Tony Khan credit for the booking here, because I hated the booking. It was so nonsensical last month for these two at the last event. I found the feud not really working for both guys. But with this match going the way it did, with Mark Briscoe going over the way he did with the thumbtacks callback and all the hardcore stuff in the match, it makes sense. So Tony Khan did the right thing here. I still don't really know if Kyle Fletcher needed to lose his championship, though, which is why I questioned the feud happening in the first place. But I do think Fletcher can get his heat back, although he also just lost the world title match a few months ago. So I do wonder where they go from here with Kyle Fletcher, because they have a potential star, a potential heel star in Kyle Fletcher. But I don't trust Tony Khan's booking to stay consistent enough to actually make it make sense. Statlander and Mercedes Mone was the other full match I watched, and it was a disappointment to say the least. Mercedes losing, I guess, is like surprising, but it makes me question the point of her winning all those other titles in the first place. If the story was not to commence in her winning the AEW Women's title, all the other title wins are kind of just like, where are we going? Is this just another AEW storyline circling the drain, going in circles, going nowhere? That's what it seems like. And then 46-year-old Samoa Joe is now the AEW World Champion. They must have felt like they were missing out with having a 40-year-old as champion. But here we are. He did beat Hangman Page, although I don't know how old Hangman Page actually is. Yeah, he's 34. He's young. But this is the end to his title run. I'm sure it will be a storyline with the Elite getting back together. That's what happened with Omega and the Young Bucks. Doesn't excite me in the least. We also had a return from Swerve, looking like maybe he was happy that Hangman lost. You know, they have all that history, but then he attacked Samoa Joe's guys. I would be more excited for Swerve if he didn't annoy me on social media, but like not in a good way. It's not like in a heel way. It's not even a babyface way. It's in a crybaby way. He's a crybaby on Twitter sometimes, and that really takes away from his character on the actual show. I like Swerve as a wrestler, though. We'll see what comes from that. I don't know about the decision to make Samoa Joe the world championship, but who knows? I'll give it a chance as we get close to the end of the year here in AEW, though. I still feel like there's much more lazy and bad booking than good booking out of Tony Khan. Let's take a look at the Survivor Series card overall. That is coming up on Saturday. I still don't think it's been an exciting booking here either, and I don't really know if there's even a lot of matches to talk about. We have Stephanie Vaquer versus Nikki Bella. Nikki Bella's heel turn. It's whatever. I mean, I guess they needed a singles woman match on the show, and this is it. I don't know if a 5th match will be added this coming week, because there's only 4 matches on the card, but those War Games matches are usually long. The women's title match, though, I would hope the champion goes over and keeps her title. Nikki Bella, I don't hate her like some of the IWC seems to do. I can take Nikki Bella. I don't need my wrestlers to be putting on alleged 5-star matches, but still not excited about this match. Dominic Mysterio gets his rematch against John Cena in one of his last matches ever. Like I said last week, I've been calling Cena's farewell tour a fail-well tour, and I still feel that way. I'm assuming Cena wins here, and whoever his last match is against is someone who beats Cena, so Cena can put that person over strong to end his career, I would hope. But also, I don't think Cena's leaving with the Intercontinental Championship, so maybe Cena loses this match and goes over in his last match ever. That actually seems more likely. Cena over strong in his last match. It would be very, very much John Cena style. The women's War Games match sees Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair, and AJ Lee versus Nia Jax, Lash Legend, Kabuki Warriors, and Becky Lynch. I mean, I like most of the people in this match. In past years, there has been an occasion where the women's War Games match came across better than the men's War Games match. It usually also has the advantage of coming on first on the show, which I do think is an advantage to have a good match. I'm not invested in this women's War Games match whatsoever, though. I hate to say it. And I feel kind of similar to the men's, although there's been a little bit more story in the men's match thanks to the Vision. I do wonder what the story will be with Brock Lesnar working with Paul Heyman again, though. But that match is CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, the Usos, and Roman Reigns, Team 40-year-olds, versus the Vision, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, Logan Paul, Drew McIntyre, and Brock Lesnar. There's a lot of star power in this match, like I said at the beginning of this video. I think that alone it's good enough for me to be a little bit invested in the match, but I'm still just hoping for the time that WWE gets their heads out of their asses, or that Triple H does, and actually decides to start booking some storylines again. Because this entire year has been a waste. And I don't know if it was them being lazy because of the Cena farewell tour and they thought they were going to sell all of their expensive-ass tickets. But I do think the time is running out on that. Maybe not for the big shows like WrestleMania. I haven't looked and seen if the WrestleMania tickets are selling well or not. But something needs to change for these storylines to become more compelling again. But Survivor Series overall, I mean, it can't be worse than Full Gear, but it honestly also can be. But I'm slightly more invested, but not really. I feel like both events this month have been pretty lazily booked.